Abnux, creator of many other Abnuxi on the internet, which is a very strange way of saying like there is a fungus and then there are fungi, as there's almost like you are the creator of other usernames on the internet that are all anonymous, who all report back to you, and you summon them as you please on an Instagram network, on an Instagram profile, appropriately called Abnux2. And it is a strange phenomenon to see you doing very type B cohort-based design courses and then having this offshoot on the side. What are your thoughts on that project?
Firstly, namaste everyone. Happy to be here. Bro, I think कि मेरा ये जो Abnux 2 का जो चल रहा है, it's a experiment for sure. But मेरा overall idea ये है कि कुछ भी करने से पहले मैं हमेशा प्रोटोटाइप करता हूँ उसके पहले, right? Because मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जब भी नई चीज बना रहे हो तो you never want to make the final thing first,
right?
मतलब शुरू में you want to have that feel of play. You're like ठीक है मैं ट्राई कर रहा हूँ चीजें. तो Instagram पे अभी जो चल रहा है Abnux 2, मतलब you described it kind of well, but it's like I am just pushing it to see what happens, right? Just इस कॉल के पहले हम बात कर रहे थे mycelial networks के बारे में,
right?
और how mycelial networks are the internet of planet Earth, and actually maybe beyond planet Earth. But yeah, bro, it's not. Nothing is reporting back to me. I literally started an Instagram account and I said, "Hey, this is Abnux 2. We are going to create Abnux 0 to Abnux 1111.
Yeah.
Claim your account on Instagram. There's only going to be one of each. और जो करना है करो." Yeah.
And that's insane. That almost, मतलब उससे anonymous लोगों को एक power मिलती है to operate under the presuppositions of whatever Abnux 2 stands for. और उस पे वो अपना spin add करते हैं. And there is an invisible code of ethics that they must follow, or they do follow, as a result of being under this umbrella of Abnux 2. Like you're almost giving them protection to sort of see whatever this strange, alphanumeric identity could mean for them. And maybe it's because just tarah ke memes, you since you post a lot of memes, maybe those serve as like subtle values for what these accounts must do. Or I have a theory as well. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि if you call of all of these accounts to, engage in some kind of a call to action, maybe even around design or like hack this network, I'm convinced जो उसकी anonymity है, that is going to cause people to do it.
And bro, एक तो सबसे बड़ी एक बात है which people get wrong is लोग सोचते हैं ये टॉप डाउन कुछ चल रहा है, कि मैंने कुछ conceptualize किया है, कोई मास्टर प्लान, और मैं मतलब प्ले आउट कर रहा हूँ इसको.
Dr. Ruben Schmerz, Mojo,
right?
Jojo.
But bro, actually totally opposite है. मैंने कुछ भी नहीं किया है. मैंने सिर्फ स्टार्ट किया और मैंने कहा कि ये है रूल्स गेम के, ऐसा गेम चलता है, राइट? और सब कुछ मतलब one inspiration for me is the idea of emergence.
What exactly is emergence?
So emergence is ऐसा idea है कि in a complex system, things cannot be top down. You can't top down say that this is how things should work, because the more complex a system is, मतलब उसमें कुछ ना कुछ हो जाएगा. The problems will happen. But when complex systems interact, there are emergent properties that the individual units did not have. तो मतलब एक example अगर लो, हमारे जो lungs हैं, वो breathe करते हैं, but the cells, they don't breathe. So the breathing of the lungs is an emergent property of the individual cells. So they couldn't breathe individually, but together they can now breathe. So it's almost like this thing that I'm doing on Instagram. It's performance art. I have no idea what's happening. I've just sowed the seeds. I've said these are the parameters of the game, and now I'm going to see what emergent properties occur.
Wow, this reminds me of, there is this book by Farid Uddin Attar, who is a Sufi scholar, I would say. What he does is he retells an ancient Sufi story about 7 चिड़िया हैं, different 7 birds हैं, and they want to cross a valley. That valley is filled with problems and obstacles, as most heroes' journeys do. Now they're a band of 7 birds, and what they're looking for is the great bird that will, lead them all to paradise or fortune or save them. ऐसा कुछ हो रहा होता है. ये 7 चिड़ियाँ होती हैं. As the journey goes on, it is natural that some of the party's members will be left behind. कि मेरे को ये दिक्कत है, क्रो बोलता है मेरे को ये दिक्कत है, मैना बोलती है मेरे को ये दिक्कत है, so on and so forth. Eventually, when they do find that bird, it turns out it's not actually a bird, but it is the culmination of the names of these different birds, and it has something to do with sapt as in 7. So the culmination of 7 birds becomes one bird, and the culmination, the working together of those birds causes them to get to paradise. ऐसी कहानी है. So
that's crazy. That's crazy. I love the metaphor there, bro. That's a deep metaphor.
Yeah, I will send you the book link. It's a great book to read because it is about. It's a story about how हमें ऐसा लगता है कि कुछ ऐसा है उस पार जो हमें बचाएगा और हम अपने अंदर देख नहीं पाते. I don't want to sound like a Aastha TV guy. So I'm going to stop myself right there. But it's a very interesting thing and it's only based on what you said. मैं इसको थोड़ा सा वो करता हूँ, एक अलग सेगमेंट में लेके जाता हूँ. मैं अभी पार्क के अंदर वॉक कर रहा था to get some ideas, and I often do that before podcasts because I find that sitting for too long in a space can, make you more idea bankrupt, for the lack of a better word. And Abhinav, bro, मेरे पास ये idea आया कि the issue with Indian gods and their inaccessibility to us is a big issue because none of us are able to read Sanskrit. ठीक है? Number 2, there are too many custodians standing in between. True. Right? Who have a very finite idea of what these many gods and goddesses, या ये demigods, goddesses represent करते हैं. Third, and this is where I want to bring you in, from an aesthetic visual standpoint, are you aware of Ravi Verma paintings?
Yeah.
Right? How Indian gods and goddesses का जो वो there is a style in which Indian gods and goddesses are portrayed, similar to French portraits and stuff, but with Indian colors. ठीक है? And those have been going on for years. This is how we see them. मैं सोच रहा था as a thought experiment, a way to introduce Indian gods as archetypes to the new generation is to make them playable characters in a design environment where each god represents a certain kind of theme. For example, Hanuman है. तो Hanuman का scene क्या है? Hanuman is power constrained. Because when he was young, he ate up the sun, so his powers were blocked, right? So this what could emerge with Hanuman as either a playable character in a game is the one character that has this power up at the end that destroys everyone, right? But you just have to get through those constraints. And let's say Indra is the god of all gods. So he stands for the eldest, the most powerful. But he's also prone to grandiosity, very much like Zeus, is tarah se. So I don't know. I just had this idea in my head that maybe there is a way to collaborate tech and culture in a way that makes all of this very palatable for us once again.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, this is a concept I've thought about a lot. I used to read Percy Jackson books back in the day. Right? And Percy Jackson ka whole idea ye hai ki the Greek gods jo the, they've existed before and they exist today. But उनके manifestations अलग हो गए हैं. तो मतलब अगर I forgot what the place is, but what's Olympus, I guess? Mount Olympus.
Mount Olympus, हाँ.
तो अगर Mount Olympus पहुंचना है, तो the way to go it is to go to the Empire State Building. There's elevator के अंदर जाओ, एक special button होता है, वो होता है, वो ऊपर ले जाता है और वो Mount Olympus पहुंच गए. So the whole idea of Percy Jackson, the reason it blew me away was that they were telling these old stories of archetypes that have deep meaning, but in a way that was accessible today. I would say closest person who's doing this, I don't know for sure, maybe Amish Tripathi, from what I've heard.
Yes, that is accurate. Absolutely.
Right? But bro, I feel it's such a loss. Ki metaphors have been the way we've told our stories. We've encoded our thoughts, findings, insights, beliefs. Or in a culture, the way these metaphors are decoded, you've encoded it so that it goes on in time.
Sure.
But the way it's decoded is you have a culture that understands them, and as you integrate into it, it helps you decode. But bro, I think problem ye ho rahi hai ab ki that culture which helps you decode these is getting lost. And because that's happening, the people who understand it deeply are getting defensive about it. So I'll give you one idea of this. Ki matlab, it would be great to have a game where you can actually play with these Hindu gods. You see how it interacts. And now suddenly you're like, okay, like I understand this archetype played out because I was playing it out through the manifestation of Vishnu or whatever.
Absolutely.
But bro, matlab, agar ye ho gaya, agar aisa game ban gaya, imagine the outcry that is going to happen. People are going to be like, this was wrong. You just portrayed X doing this, right? And I think it's a symptom ki we're losing that ability to decode these stories. And the ones who held it up, the ones in our culture who held it up, I feel are getting defensive. So they are not open to these new interpretations of it.
Right.
So it's such a tricky situation. I have no clue how to even approach this.
मैं इसी पे एक build on करता हूँ. So you see these images in the background. I was going to remodel this entire studio, but my friend who was designing this had to leave for Milan for a design degree, and I figured it was too expensive. So कुछ चीजें मेरे इसमें रह गई. Now, I like astrology. I like studying my own chart and all that. And not from a Western standpoint. Vedic astrology is slightly different. From astrology, I chanced upon several Indian god archetypes that are not as pervasive, say in the Gita or in the Vedas or anywhere else in common parlance, जब हम Hindu gods की बात करते हैं, right? So this god right here, the one in red, is Mars. ठीक है? Mangal. So roughly the god of war and aggression. This right here is Rahu, which is eternal distraction but also sudden gain. ठीक है? Now these two together represent a very chaotic energy. But if they are controlled, you can rule the world. They're very, very strong. Then there's also Mercury. हमारे में Mercury भी है. Now, you know about Mars, right? You've played God of War. God of War खेली है ना?
Yes.
The way they get the entire Greek mythology universe packed into a story where the gods have supreme powers but are also fallible allows you to see कौन सा god क्या represent करता है archetype. उसी same line के अंदर, even if you were to say कि, you know, I'm playing as Mangal. Now, Mangal's attack power is 98, right? But defense is 28. So you have that, right? Everyone is mismatched in their abilities. It's almost like the gods are played off as trump cards. To just build off on this further, एक और दिक्कत ये थी, when it comes to the epics of our culture, I have to be very honest here. The only time मेरे को पूरी तरह रामायण समझ में आई was when I watched Yugo Sako की रामायण, which is the Japanese animator who worked with Indian actors, voice actors, to create that beautiful, beautiful film we know as Legend of Prince
Beautiful.
Ram. है ना?
Yeah.
उस पिक्चर के अंदर ही मेरे को समझ में आया कि राम, what does he stand for? What does Hanuman stand for? All of that. And so as a kid that was born in 97, not exactly digitally native, you know, enough hands on analog technology, that is the only rendition of my culture that I have. Everything else is a fragment, is orally delivered to me. और उसके अंदर भी there are too many biases, too many presuppositions, too much ritual, so I cannot understand the story. तो मेरे सारे archetypes गायब हैं. फिर मैं जाके जॉर्डन पीटरसन सुनता हूँ, मैं बोलता हूँ हाँ, इसने तो बड़ी conveniently क्राइस्ट को भी यूज कर लिया, ये भी यूज कर लिया, because he has that luxury. So I don't know what would happen if we suddenly populated, you know, design Twitter with Indian gods as themes, and what would be the impact of that? Well, I was consumed by this thought, so I figured, you know, I just bring it up to you and देखते हैं वहाँ से कहाँ जाते हैं.
Yeah, definitely, bro. I mean, we have such strong stories, right? Mind blowing. But I feel like that accessibility gap, matlab, like I don't read Sanskrit either. It exists, bro. It exists. I don't know what the way to bridge that gap is, but I mean, another interesting way मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि in some ways history is written by the victors, right? The popular culture that way is also dictated by the victors.
Sure.
So I sort of feel like कि हमारा जो Western influence है, totally natural. I understand it. It's been written by the victors because they have brought all of these changes to us. The fact that abhi hum, of course, there's been an Indian influence, but
sure.
Largely, मुझे लगता है कि us, our generation, we have that opportunity to rewrite culture at a global level. Why? Because we are now taking on these bigger roles in the world of culture makers, of taste makers, of vibe curators, right? Like in a simple way, I'll say this is just we have an audience, for example, just to start with. But for example, I don't know if you've been following the NFTs 69 million wala jo sale hua tha.
I only know recently. NFTs spell non-fungible tokens, और मुझे पता है an Instagram account by the name people_crap sold it. That is all I know. To a bunch of
bro, जिन लोगों ने खरीदा है, they're Tamilians, they're in Singapore now, and they get it in some ways, right? So I heard their interviews and they said, I mean, I'll paraphrase this. They said when you look at Rome back in the day, it was a center of culture, right? And that kind of culture exists even today, just shadows and fragments of that culture.
Yeah, all right? Monolithic, all monolithic architectural structures that are now in decay. That is exactly the shadow that you're talking about, huh?
Yeah. So he said, now that, so his whole idea with the NFTs, this thing is they're building the metaverse, right? Two Indian dudes now saying we're going to build the metaverse. He says, well, if we're building the new Rome, we have this opportunity to redefine what global culture is. And we're going to do this not from a place of, मैं कह रहा हूँ कि Indian is the best, let's do it. But actually, we own the assets. We own this virtual land. We own the capital. We are new in this world. It's almost like the early settlers in the US. They had a certain ethos, and that was the American dream, for example. That played out.
Self-reliance, exploration, ये सब जो चीजें हैं ना.
So I feel like as we take on more dominant roles in the global conversation, we have that opportunity to redefine culture. But I don't know what that looks like. It's yet to be played out.
Very interesting. You've obviously been involved in the tech space for as long as I can remember knowing about you. I haven't. Or uske andar na, there is this optimism that you naturally have around technology that I share from the outside. My fear, as someone who isn't as well versed in the world that you so regularly live in, मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि इंसान कंप्यूटर पे काम कर रहा है, बिलियंस बना रहा है, पीछे जाकर चाकू मार देगा. तो my constant fear is, in the pursuit of building these digital worlds, there are smart, cunning people जिनका पूरा फंडा है कि हम physical पे राज करेंगे. Because it is very easy to turn off the power and suddenly you're not a millionaire, or suddenly you've lost access to this imaginary, beautiful, fantastic virtual world that you've built. And in that idea, मैं थोड़ा conservatively समझता हूँ. I understand why it's important to have physical assets, to have dominance over the physical world. पता नहीं. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So matlab, at one level, I think I don't want NFTs to eat up this conversation. NFT and crypto have they do that very often. They'll eat up the whole conversation.
No, please.
But with crypto, it's almost like it's unconfiscatable assets. Right? It's literally, with, let's say, Bitcoin, the way it works is there's a 16-word seed phrase. Key ball table thing. It's a 16 words like this. all you need is those 16 words, and you can back up and boot up your wallet anywhere in the world. Right? So you couldn't do that with, let's say, gold. You can't just carry your gold with you.
Sure.
Or too much of it and it gets confiscated. You get, and bro, who better to understand this than Indians? We've grown up in this place where, we're in constant fear. मतलब कुछ हो तो नहीं जाएगा, मतलब कुछ, मतलब डाकू ना आ जाए, ये ना हो जाए.
People are sitting on cash and losing their sleep.
Yeah, exactly. So that way, technical wise, I think that is also the thing. But on a cultural level, the way I'm also thinking about it is, मतलब अगर YouTube को देखें आज, YouTube as a country, let's imagine, right? In terms of population, it's one of the top countries.
Sure.
But bro, YouTube ki nationality is becoming more and more Indian by the day.
I agree.
The dominant culture of YouTube might just shift to be more Indian. Now imagine that, but for all networks out there.
We would want that, wouldn't we? This whole idea of Hindustan as Sone ki Chidiya is not a far-fetched dream to have. And एक छोटा सा भी dent बना लेना उसके अंदर is like, I mean, on this podcast only, I've talked to friends जैसे हम जब real life में बैठते हैं about this whole idea of being disenfranchised with the हमारे हिंदुस्तान के अंदर जिस तरह के patriotic idols. I remember as a kid growing up, there was a sense of patriotism filled in me via school textbooks, national anthem speeches, Rashtragan, Rashtrageet, all that. That started to get lost as the internet came around. Because जब मैं internet पे गया, तो the overwhelming things I saw, because I was moving away from a physical school-based reality to एक internet की reality की जहाँ पे दुनिया के लोग भी हैं. And when I moved there, I found that the overwhelming culture was American, or it was English-centric. और उस चक्कर में this sense of who I am as an Indian started to get lost. I mean, certainly some of the political movements did not help. But now that you say this, कि हिंदुस्तानी लोग ऐसा कर रहे हैं, I have a faint glimmer of hope. मुझे वाकई में ऐसा लगता है, is it possible कि 2023 के अंदर, we have Hindu god archetype based games, or we have a Mangal cafe that literally represents some kind of a, जैसे अमेरिकन हिपस्टर्स करते हैं ना कि हिंदुस्तान से चाय टी लाटे को उसको हल्दी दूध ऐसे बना दिया, that we become a part of the woke ness of other countries, except this time उस wokeness को decide करा है हम लोगों ने. Like we have taken the authority from the ancient protectors of our culture, whatever that is, wherever it is dying, and revivified it and presented it back to the world. So I mean,
bro, मेरी एक और theory है मेरी कि the connection between culture and capital. मुझे लगता है the reason in the past thousands of years India was so dominant culturally was because India was also very dominant in terms of capital.
It was a rich country.
Very, very rich. Very, very rich, right? So moving forward, like if that's what it was before, moving forward, for us to set the culture at a global level, and I'm not even saying this as a supervillain type of thing, which is set the culture. I'm saying
sure,
for
why not?
Indians,
it is a noble ambition to have, है ना?
Yeah, true.
Americans 2 मिनट में सोच लेते हैं कि हम exceptional हैं, हमें बताना दुनिया को, तो हम क्यों नहीं सोच सकते?
हमें सोचना चाहिए 100%. But ये है मेरा point कि culture alone is not enough. Because the global operating system of the world is capitalism. So the entryway cannot be culture alone. It needs to be get the fucking capital, control the machinery, and now you have the options to enforce your worldview, to enforce your culture through the capital, through the assets you want.
Yeah, that seems like a far-fetched dream though, abhi ke liye, because there is this small band of extremely rich techno, entrepreneurs based in kuch shahar hai India ke. Then there is the whole expat network of Indians. Then there are the Indians who are of Indian origin, and they're doing certainly fine in the USA. But I do not think that everyone in our country shares this attitude. I also see this extrapolation of the Indian story that we're talking about, that has, if you were to take Hindu gods and goddesses as a base point of acting out, different archetypes in the world, then most of our countrymen are acting those archetypes out in their real life, within their daily life. And this imposition of a cultural narrative over the world is something that is a dream for those of us who are connected using the internet, who can see the power of networks.
See, I think एक तो problem ये भी है कि हमारा operating system is not capitalist. हमारा operating system is quasi socialist.
That's true. It's very true. Yeah.
कि हम सोचते हैं कि पैसे बनाना गलत बात है, right? Why? Because culture and capital to us seem like opposites,
right?
For some reason, right? You're either a godly person or you're a businessman. It's not like this. It's like that.
अगर वो साथ में होता है ना, तो have you seen खोसला या घोसला?
Yeah.
Right. So you've seen the stereotypical villain Khurana, right? Who says कि वो भगवान के तीर्थ करने, pilgrimage करने जाता है, but he's also a con man, and we see that as an evil manifestation of what could happen when culture and capital meet, right? So it's generally frowned upon.
But if you look at the world, I am noticing, actually, let me think of a good example of this. It's not opposites, culture and capital, right? It's almost like it's two sides of the same coin. So it's almost like if you want to have the dominant narrative, like let's forget about money for a while. Let's talk about the power of narratives. In the end, the more capital you have, the more you can control these narratives.
Correct.
The more money you can put behind the narratives you support.
Right.
Right. So at a global stage, the way to do it is culture and capital go hand in hand. But here, I feel India में हम सिर्फ culture push करते हैं. मतलब we are always saying, in the comments, like India is great, which is fine. But bro, rather than saying India is great, we should play it out. We should prove the greatness rather than speak about it.
Right. Embody that. Embody that greatness.
We should embody it. And that embodiment at a local level, मतलब India में, sometimes looks like status. Sometimes looks like just a status game. But globally, अगर हमें खेलना है, तो status game won't do. We'll have to play the capital game.
Right. So give rise to the country's innovators, हमारे जो businessmen हैं, and let them play these larger games, right? And and
not just हमारे जो businessmen हैं, हमारे, like by hum I mean you and I, Vinamra, but also the people watching this. हमारे जो next couple of years होंगे, हम जो games खेलेंगे दुनिया में, उन games से हमारे पास एक opportunity है कि हम global narrative में part लें, हम global conversation में part लें, और not in the way that we try to become Americanized, right? But we hold our own and we redefine what it means to be a global Indian today.
I see that very well. I can see how that will manifest. I am a massive sochta. I don't want our country to, exist as a trope of bowed hands and modesty and humility, which is what is happening right now, right? If you look at, it might have changed now a little bit, thoda modern hone ke baad, with Netflix and the Aziz Ansaris, the Carl Pence, all these guys that have sort of redirected the South Asian Indian identity a little bit. But मेरे को फिर भी ऐसा लगता है the Indian is overtly modest and overtly humble in the representation of other countries and exoticized to a degree that is the profoundness of simple things and the primitivity of our culture is super emphasized. Our grit, हमारी determination, हमारी innovation वगैरह, those things are just left out.
I will say another thing that gives me a lot of hope is we're seeing a new type of Indian Okay, so the question is, who are the Indian global heroes, right? Which is when we look up to them, we're like, wow, that is this thing. So traditionally, the type of Indian heroes are people like Satya Nadella, right?
Sure. For
people
all you
like
guys,
Sundar
it's Satya
Pichai,
Nadella. For everyone else, it's APJ Abdul Kalam. I just want to put that out.
right? ठीक है. Agree, right? So I'm of course not going to comprehensively name them all, but
right.
when we look at global Indian heroes,
right.
I feel like that isn't a type of person. Satya Nadella, Sundar Pichai, people who in the 80s, whatever, from IIT, went abroad, never looked back, but they've now fucking trailblazers in their field.
Absolutely.
Right. And they are an embodiment of that Indian spirit, but now they're playing this global game. We're going to see more types of heroes that way. So when I look at Meta Kovan, the guy who bought the 69 million people, he is not an example of, I was in India didn't let me, India couldn't provide that fertile ground, so I moved abroad. I mean, okay, I'm mixing too many stories, but his example is that of an entrepreneur, which is him taking these Indian, setting a name in this new field out there, which is what Indians have done globally for the last couple of years. It's only now I think that the narratives there's a lot of positive narratives out there that are coming up.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to see more Indian artists out there, and allowing these Indian artists to then percolate other cultures. Maybe the same way how Spanish music is so infectious in our country, which makes no sense at all, right? Why do we remember songs like Brazil and Macarena? What was it about these songs that allowed overtly Spanish? We don't know the lyrics. We don't even know what these songs mean. Or why were they bangers at parties? Why were they like music tracks that got us all together? I would like to see some Indian art and some Indian music permeate culture across the world. And I don't mean trope wise. I don't mean, the same Daler Mehndi, tunak, 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 tum tarara. No. I'm exactly talking along the lines of what you're saying, where the new Indian curator, the new understanding Indian, ya jo bhi kuch hai, does something in the art space that, sets the world on fire. And we can see that.
Yeah. Bro, I'll give you a personal story of this. A couple of years ago, I was so fresh in the freelancing space. I'd been doing design for a little while. This was back when I was in college. I was working with this client. And this, I think we website bana rahe the for something. So it was me, some client, I think, I don't know what his nationality was, but then there was another developer from New York.
Sure.
So the roles were I was doing the design of the website, वगैरह. The developer from New York was coding it, whatever.
Right.
And the client said something to me which I still remember today. And of course, he didn't mean it as an insult or anything. But he said, dude, I can't believe it that this project, I have a developer from New York and a designer from India. I would expect the other way around. And for a second there, I was like, fuck. Because it's not an insult at all to me, right? But when I think about that, I'm like, dude, we're seen as the code monkeys of the world in some way, right? We have, for example, added massive, massive value to the whole technological system that exists today. But we've sort of done it from the sidelines, in the background. Right? And for some reason, we're seen as the executors rather than the creative ones. And I was like, dude, why is it that way? It doesn't have to be that way. But that is the leading narrative somehow.
Indians as coders, as software developers, the Indians as spelling bee champions, and then Indians as mathematicians, as quiz whizzes, anywhere where an unreasonable amount of memory processing and technical skill is involved. Okay? Our curation is restricted to the few films we sent to the Oscars, maybe at best. Okay, that's if you talk about the arts, how India is represented in the arts, there might be very subtle influences. We can talk about that. How maybe, what is the word? What is the word for that thing? There's this very Indian thing that is all pervasive across the world. It's not a motif. What is it called? It's skipping my. Abhi aayega to bata dunga. But
okay,
beyond that, it's just the films here and there I'm thinking कि तुमने अभी ये कहानी बताई ना कि मेरे को उसने ऐसे बोला डिजाइनर, ये चीज मेरे साथ हुई जैसे अमेरिका के अंदर की मेरे को ऐसे बोला गया कि तुम तो मैथ्स में अच्छे हो गए ना, गॉट बैड ग्रेड्स इन मैथ क्लासेस, बट आई एडिटेड द एसेज फॉर ऑल माय अमेरिकन पीयर्स, और तो मेरी तो सेकंड लैंग्वेज इंग्लिश, तो ये कैसे हो रहा है? तो ये क्यों पॉसिबल है? व्हाई इज दिस इंडियन डूइंग वेल एट दीज क्लासेस दैट टेक्निकली फर्स्ट लाइक जिसकी फर्स्ट लैंग्वेज इज अमेरिकन की उसको करना चाहिए? तो in a lot of ways, while stereotypes make our life easier because we don't have to think a lot, they also stand in the way of progress. क्योंकि फिर वो ड्रीम ही सिखाई जाती है ना कि तुम इंजीनियर बन जाओ या टेक्नोलॉजिकली ही कुछ करना. Think when you talked about Indian heroes, you listed out completely all Indian heroes having to do with something with tech. Almost no one in the art space. The only Indian director I can think of in Hollywood is M. Night Shyamalan, and he makes horrible movies, from what I know. So it's मतलब ये एक बड़ी it's a very strange predicament as to where to even go from there. Do we start maybe inside our country and then move abroad, or do we send more people abroad first and let them play out the experiences that they learn in their country in the rest of the countries? I don't know.
See, मुझे लगता है कि the fact that Vinamra, you and I are here over Zoom call, right? Having a high fidelity conversation, transmitting this to thousands of people who are going to watch this. It's a testament to the fact that we're not limited to our physical networks anymore.
That's true.
Right? It's just that now that these connections exist, we need to make sure there's a good cultural exchange that's happening. Right? And that cultural exchange right now is limited because the contexts are so different. To put it in simple terms, I think that, let's take the YouTube example. As more and more of the population of YouTube becomes Indian, how does the culture of YouTube change? Right? Today, the stereotype around it is, send bobs and vagines, those kind of comments, right?
Indian sexual repression is the worldwide trope for this, generally.
Yes, right. And I'm not making fun of it because I also understand it's such a different context. You're born here, suddenly you're globally connected, and you don't know what to do with it. Right? It's like, oh fuck, like I couldn't have spoken to somebody in a different country, but now I can.
Yeah.
Right. So it's still early that way. But I forgot where I was going with this, but I think very often हम ये कहते हैं कि दुनिया ऐसी है और मैं क्या करूंगा, मतलब मैं तो ऐसा हूं, मतलब मैं ऐसे भी बिलीव करूं तो मतलब दुनिया तो ऐसी है. Right? We look at, let's say, the Oscars, they're doing this. They're like, I have zero control over this. People are like, what can I do about this? And I think that kind of responsibility, that's another way I think about top down versus bottom up, which is we assume right now that everything that exists is a top down world, that things have somehow always been like this. But the point is they've reached this place. And I think we have to figure out individually, now that we are connected to every single person in the world, the fact that, the costs of, let's say, transmitting these ideas through video gone down. How do we be a part of this global narrative? So I'll give you one actually amazing example, right? Somebody helped me connect the dots on this. Let me ask you first. Tell me what do you know about old Indian universities, right? Like, for example, in actually go on, yeah.
So what I know roughly is they were apprentice-based universities, and I could be wrong. I'm basing it on the few accounts I can remember orally जो मेरे को याद है, is that your master would choose you and you would choose the master, and then you would enter some kind of a obedient surrender relationship to your master. तुम्हें वो guru सिखाता है, and you apprentice, and then you go out in the world, so on and so forth.
And what was I'm forgetting the name. What's that place in Bihar that was
Nalanda? Nalanda or Takshashila.
Right?
Takshashila is in Pakistan. Nalanda University.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? I am sort of blanking.
I haven't been to Nalanda. मैं सिर्फ यही बता सकता हूँ कि from what I know, is that Iskandar, it was a very apprentice based model, but that's all I know about it. I can look it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the point I'm talking about is India was always a knowledge center of the world.
It was.
Right? With maths, with zero, we take every opportunity we can to brag about it.
Silk Route ke andar bhi na, it was a central point in the Silk Route as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So India was a knowledge capital of the world in some way at some point. So when I look at these old universities like Nalanda, it was almost like the kind of stuff that was happening in India in terms of the knowledge. Like, let's say we talk about just maths or scientific this thing. It was way ahead of its time. But then back then it was like people would come there. It's almost like the same way you come to exchange spices and fabrics. You come to exchange ideas. You're like, dude, this ideas, it exists in one place in the world. So we're going there for trade. And so that is a mind-blowing mental image to me, right? The fact that we were once the knowledge center of the world. And then when I see that play out today, dude, the best educational channels on YouTube are run by Indians.
Yeah, right? I can think of Khan Academy straight up. Sabse pehle, from
straight
like
up.
OG Indian YouTube days.
OG, bro. And, Khan Academy is like one of the big public examples, which is great. But literally any topic in your textbook, open a random page and do this and Google it. First 5 results, most likely they're going to be some Indian, very likely some engineering student who was like, let me record this for my friends. And he made a really nice explanation with his phone. And now that has 5,000 views, 10,000 views. So I don't know. I'm trying to rediscover what is our connection. I mean, let's say as Indians to setting this global stage for how knowledge, conversation, education should happen.
Yeah, I have a hunch on that. Or when you were saying that, my mind was guzzling with ideas. So I think, and it's very common knowledge. I'm not saying anything new. We were an oral culture. We still are. हम उसकी fragments आज भी देखते हैं. जहाँ पे in some way, the spoken word is far more valuable and far more common on the Indian street, in the Indian household, on the Indian TV screen than the written word. ठीक है? If we think about the written word, I can think of 3 examples: the Indian Constitution, the Indian religious texts, and the Indian school books. That's about it. But they're almost delegated to the space of ये लिखित पढ़त बात है. ज़्यादातर बातें हम orally करते हैं. So I think, and no knowledge whatsoever, complete hunch. But the fact that we spoke a lot just made us natural at communicating ideas. And if we were to take an example and establish a piece of alternate history, let's say the idea of Nalanda was superimposed over all of India in that erstwhile time. So what you have is a country of people constantly in conversation with each other orally. So that allows for, जब भी तुम कुछ बात transmit करते हो, right? What you do with language is, in your head you have this picture of what you want to communicate. But जब तुम बोलना शुरू करते हो, right? Immediately you have all these filters. Does this fit the box of logic? Can I say this abstractly? All of that. So
context.
Maybe, right? The context. Maybe it just made us natural communicators. That's why we're good at explaining concepts. उससे उसका फिर trope निकल आता है कि Indians are good technically, but I just think that we're good orally. We do this all the time throughout. And I don't know if you see this now as an Indian living abroad, but it is the most common thing. The one thing that Indians will stop everything else for is oral communication above all else. I don't know.
Bro, I mean, I love that, bro. I love that. It's such a great example. And it's I also love that is somewhat the theme of your channel. Right?
Ironically, by chance.
Yeah, but bro, that's actually has me very, very bullish about content creators. I mean, it's so crazy that we've somehow come here. But when I think about, let's say, Indians making it to a global stage, tech is one way. Right? Which is, back in 2008, you had Redbus in Bangalore. So one of sort of the first big exits in the startup scene.
Sure.
The people who made money through that angel invested on other startups. And you had Flipkart Swiggy, these big startups. And today, the reason Bangalore is a hub, tech hub, is because there's all these success stories of startups. It infuses more capital into the ecosystem, and people now want to take more bets, more risks.
Right.
They now have the money. So that's it moving. But I think a parallel kind of movement is happening, not in a physical place, but on the internet, where a lot of young Indians are building that audience. So back in the startup days, we'll be building your active users. Right? You build an app and you get users.
Right.
Today, without that code limitation, which honestly, dude, everybody should code, maybe, but I don't want to impose that on anyone. Natural conversation is such, it comes so naturally to most people. Right. So I think the fact that more people are doing YouTube channels, podcasts, it's a way of building leverage. Right. In the same way that you could build technological leverage, you're now building, I would say, ideological leverage.
हाँ, बिल्कुल. मैं तो इसको एक स्टेप आगे भी लेके जाऊं, जो मैंने वो ओरल स्टोरी टेलिंग वाली बात बोली थी. दिस इज अ नैगी थिंग अबाउट इंडियंस, जिसको हम एक दूसरे को बोलते हैं या हम पिक्चरों में दिखाते हैं. बट इफ यू लुक एट हाउ सीमलेसली वी आर एबल टू गिव एडवाइस, irrespective of my social status, whether I am a stranger on the street or your cousin, ठीक है, it is almost the embodiment of being an Indian कि तुम एडवाइस देते हो. सुन, ऐसा कर ले, सुन, ये कर ले. Your instinct is to either tell stories that have half magical reality, half fact, or to give advice. So, which is why, say, if we go back to the whole idea of like, fusing together gods with tech, तो वो आ जाएगा हमें आराम से, क्योंकि हम कहानी तो सुनाई देते हैं. लोग 7-8 दिन बैठ के they listen to the Bhagavad Gita on audio, ताकि वो समझ पाए. And the other thing is, अगर तुम किसी पूछो, भाई साहब मैं क्या करूं, तुम पहले ये करो, तुम पहले ये करो, तुम पहले ये करो. Everyone has an answer for those things. And इस वजह से I think it just is natural for us to maybe not have the same limitations जो Americans को, Europeans को होंगी लोगों को ज्ञान चोदने में. Let's just say that. क्योंकि हमारे शहर के अंदर, हमारे states के अंदर वो इतना ज्यादा common है. Unsolicited advice in the Indian way. Sorry.
And maybe it comes down to the individualistic nature also. Right? I think maybe one of the reasons the rest of the world, let's just say Europeans, Americans, don't give advice is because it's an individualistic thing. It's just like, what works for you works for you. What works for me works for me.
Yeah.
Versus in India, we have that thing where, I don't know how to describe it, but you want the other person to do well because somehow you do well because of it. I don't know. I don't know what that is.
सही बात है. बिल्कुल सही बात है. ये जो before the podcast we were talking about the hive mind, it works that way, है ना? मतलब I'm not only working for myself, I'm working for my family. अब मेरे को जो बात पूछनी थी वो इस सेंस में थी, और जहां अब हम हिंदी इसके अंदर थोड़ा जा सकते हैं, कि अब यू आर एन इंडियन लिविंग अब्रॉड, ठीक है, एंड यू आर लिविंग इन अ रफली इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक कल्चर. इतने समय से मैंने जब भी कम्युनिकेशन स्टडीज की जो कोर्सेज करी यूएसए के अंदर भी, द फर्स्ट सॉर्ट ऑफ डिफरेंस दे पॉइंट आउट इन कम्युनिकेशन इज स्टाइल्स ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन एंड द जनरल मॉडल इन विच डिफरेंट कंट्रीज इंटरैक्ट. तो इंडिया कलेक्टिविस्टिक आता है, कुछ और साउथ अमेरिकन कंट्रीज आती हैं उसके अंदर, ज्यादातर वेस्टर्न नेशंस इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक में आते हैं. एंड यू आर अ स्पेशल इंडियन, just like I am a special Indian in the sense कि you don't have the same collectivist bandwidth limitations that maybe your parents did. I mean, or maybe, my parents do. क्योंकि we had the internet, we're a little bit more direct, a little bit more मैं अपना काम, तू अपना काम कर, ठीक है, मेरे पास अभी टाइम नहीं, इस तरह से. There's that, because of the internet, because of Western influence, थोड़ा सा में individualism है. Now that you go abroad, do you find that you have to let go even that little bit of collectivism that has been retained from your time in India, कि जहाँ पे it's okay to impinge on each other's time because you love each other, because that's the way it is?
Bro, I mean, great question. I don't know, to be honest, but I think my feeling is that, I mean, I've been here for just a few months now.
Sure.
And dude, I don't feel disconnected at all. Like zero. Right. And one of the reasons is that the people I speak to have remained the same. Right. Also because it's COVID, it's winter here, so I haven't really gone out. Everything is closed. But the number of conversations like this, right? High bandwidth conversation where you can see each other's facial reactions, they remain the same. So like the people I'm speaking to, my connections have roughly stayed the same. So I don't know what that means, but I think this right here, high bandwidth video streaming, is a recent invention, right? In the sense that Zoom calls, literally, we had Skype calls, right?
Yeah.
Like literally a few years back. What that means is you could still talk, but you couldn't have, let's say, 20 people on a call, 100 people on a call.
Correct.
Today with 10K designers, the classes that I do, right? It's 100 young, motivated Indians, right?
Acha, your classes are only Indian?
95%.
That's crazy.
Right? That fucking energy, bro. Like 100 people on my screen. We're talking. I'm getting that real-time feedback of seeing their faces light up when I talk about creativity. When I talk about, yo, we can do this. We can, this is the place in the world that, fucking creativity and productivity has. It blows my mind, bro. It just blows my mind. Yeah.
Bro, insane. मेरे को ये सवाल तुमसे पूछना था, and I was so excited to ask you this question. The way I see art now, and there's a split in my head, and I'd like to explore that with you and see where we get there. Because for the longest time, as we were growing up, seeing all the great artists on screen, reading about them, there was a belief I had that art requires sacrifice, great pains, and leaving a piece of your soul, right? It requires some degree of sacrificial elements for it to be sustainable and really move people, like great poetry, great art, great music, all of that, right?
Yeah.
अब मेरे को ऐसा लगता है with the advent of content, there is something about the easy iteration which leaves that art out. And I'm confused, and I felt that if creators feel this sense of imposter syndrome of not being real artists, of not going through that trope of, I put everything on the line for this because iteration is easy and feedback is convenient.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, mera question here rahega ki where do you think that idea came from?
I don't know.
For you, the idea that art needs to be sacrificial. Because personally, I've actually never considered it that way. And I don't know why. I'm also thinking where my idea of art comes from.
No, I think for me, it's because कुछ बचपन में tropes ऐसे होंगे जो मैंने देखे होंगे, or like just seeing that. When you read the biographies of good writers, right, you see a lot of tragedy. So it's a very, and this is a conversation that millions, not thousands of people have about, like is pain required to create art in some sense. पर जो मैं वहाँ division draw कर रहा हूँ वो ये कि जो content है ना, content is publishable on the internet, right? There is usually, even with comedy content, there is usually a goal, a direction in mind. Either you are acquiring an audience or you're trying to communicate a message, any of those things. And मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि will great art die because of people who understood कि I'm an artist, but I also know that I want to broadcast this.
Got it.
जो ये private artists हैं, right? Those who don't have the same channels as we do, right? How will they survive? And then what we create as content, can that be qualified as art? Because it just blows my mind. I don't know where the answer is.
I would say, bro, ki, maybe the reason I have this kind of mindset is when I look at designers today in India, there's a massive demand for designers, right?
The
best designers the best designers I know are making crores, bro.
Really?
Not just, and of course, I'm not saying just cash, but also because of stocks. They own equity in these fast-growing internet companies that are funded by global investors.
Sure.
And the reason they're making, the reason they're making this much money or crores is because there's so few of them. It's a supply and demand thing. Right? So for me, it's always been that the starving artist stereotype is the most bullshit stereotype ever. And the reason for that is I think the fact is, I mean, we're going a little meta on stereotypes now, which is, if you believe in the starving artist stereotype, you think that's the way the world is, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where you become a starving artist.
No, I didn't mean when I said ki I wasn't referring to the starving
Not
artist.
You.
Yeah, that dream.
I'm just saying, like, one example of a stereotype. So I would say another example of this would be, I don't know, I'm blanking right now.
कोई नहीं. Let me redefine this a little bit.
Our examples, yeah.
मैं इसको redefine इस तरह से करता हूँ. It's not about like the whole I have to starve and be in pain to create art, and people have to respect that, and there is no money in it, and like there is no commercial potential. वो वाली जो ड्रीम थी वो 13 साल के एज में मैंने जिम मॉरिसन के साथ 16 के एज में फ्लश आउट कर दी थी कि ये बकवास है. ठीक है, I understand that. The sole reason we're even having this conversation is because I realized कि I cannot live in this private pain-like world of me, great artist, my talent, la मेरे को देखो. There needs to be broadcasting. The art should meet the public. As simple as that. And that's a level of ruthlessness you have to develop once you realize कि you're no longer an infant. All of those, we can get into that. मेरा खाली question ये था, if I have to like really think about it now, is when is content art and when is it not? Because sometimes content is just reiteration, right? Would you consider design art, designing a website art?
I would say the reason this is a tricky subject is क्योंकि हमारे definitions जो हैं art के वो बहुत static हैं, बहुत rigid हैं. हम जिस तरीके से Indian art सोचते हैं, we look at that and we're like, we're doing nothing.
Stuff like this.
We're doing nothing like that.
Yeah.
Right? We're doing nothing like that. Or when we look at the rich art of, let's say, the dance forms we have, we look at Bharatnatyam. You look at the different types of sculpting, right? You look at the different types of stone work that our temples have. Right. That is art, bro. And we are not doing anything like that, right? You and I. Which is why we feel like imposters. We're like, in our culture, art is looked at as this kind of thing.
Sure.
But we are doing this kind of thing, which is totally different. But when you break that definition, that, hey, art is not supposed to be this thing that is defined by the past, but we can define it through our thing. Your last episode was with Dank Rishu.
Yeah, I haven't released it. Yes.
Right? When you look at what Dank Rishu is doing, he is being himself. Right?
बहुत funny आदमी है. He was hanging out here the entire time.
बहुत funny आदमी है, bro. He is just being 100% reflection of himself.
Right.
And do that is authenticity. And that is art. Right? Yeah.
Dank
Rishu is not the definition of art we grew up with.
Sure. Dank Rishu is not a Thanjavaram painting or a Panchgani painting. Dank Rishu is just Dank Rishu, like a reflection of the world he grew up in, जिस तरह की उसकी बातें, जो उसके experiences हैं.
Bro,
That's crazy. I never thought about that. Yeah. There's also something about, your traditional ideas of beauty being encroached upon by these very aggressive but literal forms of authenticity that you're like, अरे यार अब ऐसा हो जाएगा, Indian culture ये. I have another friend of mine, Abhijit Iyer Mitra. He's a defense analyst. He often talks about, and I agree with it, and you're a designer, so you can pitch in this. Have you looked at the way modern Indian houses are built? They're hideous. मतलब I love this place. I'm very grateful for it. But I'm surprised by how imitative the false ceiling is, how obvious the cove lights are, how obvious that minimalist chat with the glass and the wood is, how obvious the whiteness of the house is. To me, it seems like these grand structures that उसके अंदर साधारण लोग ही रह रहे हैं. They maybe have a pot belly, have diabetes, have all kinds of marital problems, have like kids who are suffering or doing drugs, whatever, जो भी कुछ है.
Yeah.
But they're all these, मतलब, I'm literally, अभी मैं इसको ऐसे कर रहा हूँ, गुस्सा आ रहा है. They're all like this ऊंची दुकान फीका पकवान वाली vibe. Whereas, and I'm not making a distinction, there are some great old duplex style homes in India which are much better. So this modern Indian architecture stuff that I see, especially pervasive in maybe Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore, is just so hideous to my eyes that I don't know what the modern Indian is thinking. And I look at the houses in California, beautiful houses. I look at the houses in Boston. So वहाँ पे it's very minimalist, but there's a style there. Over here, the style I see is बहुत ज़्यादा ऐसे designer, नकली status. मेरी छत बड़ी, तेरी छत और बड़ी. इस तरह से.
Yeah. Bro, I mean, what a great fucking segue, because you said this one thing which is like, he's a reflection of his times. He's a reflection of the world he grew up in.
Right.
Right. I sort of feel like these houses that we see, right, they're a reflection of what our parents wanted to be like, right? It's a reflection of our parents' desires. But bro,
that's crazy.
Moving forward, as we join this global conversation, and I don't know, this global conversation is a very cheesy term. Let me just say, as our generation grabs the fucking bag, money, capital, influence, right? The kind of houses we're going to build are going to be so fucking different.
Absolutely.
Right?
तो बताओ अबनुक जी, तुम्हारा मॉडर्न घर किस तरह का होगा? मतलब what would you want your dream house to have?
Can I just quickly show you something?
Sure. Actually, you already have a prototype for it. This is why you should always do a podcast with designers, because they have samples for their ideas.
Yeah.
कि ये मेरा आइडिया वर्ल्ड डोमिनेशन के लिए और ये उसका खूबसूरत सैंपल.
So, bro, here's my deal, okay? This is just one snapshot. Here's my deal. I like the vibe of traditional Indian houses, right? And I'm trying to deconstruct that vibe.
वो क्या है traditional Indian
vibes? So when I think about Indian houses, I think of a central courtyard.
Duplex जैसे बोलते हैं.
Right? Central courtyard, बीच में एक open area है. उसके आसपास मतलब वो बनी हुई है. You have your rooms. And then you have your 1 or 2 floors like this.
Sure.
And in the center you have your, let's say, your tree, the one in which the worship happens around. So that's like a central activity that the house is built around. The vibes in that kind of house are beautiful. Okay, I like the vibes. There's something about it, right? And I try to deconstruct that. So with this, for example, this is just a concept, this thing that I'm working on.
Right.
I want to imagine, what does a Gurukul look like? A Gurukul in the future, what does that look like?
That's great.
Because when I think about that, my mental picture is there's this one central tree. The whole thing is built around its central tree, right? And then around that, you have your living spaces. Around this tree is where you meet, right? So the central activity is not the rooms where you chill out. It's where you meet.
Right.
And then outwards from here, you have, of course, you need tall ceilings, right? That's something that I 100% believe needs to be a feature.
Right.
Which is, tall ceilings give you the feeling of being outdoors, number one.
Right. Correct.
And number two, it makes you feel not constricted like this. The Indian courtyard houses, they had the tallest fucking ceiling. It was the sky in the center. Right? But when you look at old Roman homes, like when you go to Pinterest and search for modern architecture, the most beautiful houses have the tallest ceilings.
Insane.
It's because it makes you feel a certain type of way. It makes you feel like you don't have a cap. You don't have a ceiling holding you. So my version of a house would be built around a tree, built around the hubs of activity. Like that's where you meet. And then you have your public spaces, which is these kind of lounges. That when you go up the stairs, that's maybe like a private lounge or this kind of area. But then the outer circles then become the private areas. Then you have your bedrooms. And then this sort of is not really a home or an office, right? That kind of distinction exists today. Is it a home? Is it an office? But it's a space. And it's not just you in this space. It's going to be your family. It's going to be your fucking collaborators, right? Even if it's remote work, bro, who wants to fucking rent a WeWork and go there? WeWorks, it's not fun, bro. It's fun going to a friend's house and hanging out.
Absolutely. So I have people here from poker all the time. It's so much fun. Yeah.
We need to build with that in mind. We need to build around people. It needs to be human-centered rather than this idea of,
when you were saying that, my mind was blowing with insight. So 2 things. Number 1, and I might be completely wrong. Abhinav, मैं बिल्कुल एकदम बेवकूफी वाली बात कर रहा हूँ, but I figured out the reason for Indian neuroses. is because we've lost an orienting object in our households, because we've built it like boxes. There are only a few houses in this country, mostly in the south, abhi bhi exist karte hain. But where I live up in the north, duplex houses have gone. So there is no central object in the house beyond an artificial Buddha, good earth figurine. And so when you go inside the house, you don't know what is what. You are being taken from room to room. और तुम्हें पता नहीं है कि where do we naturally meet? And the living room isn't often at the center as it should be. ठीक है? So people will start meeting in bedrooms. The master bedroom becomes a living room. And this sort of horrible, क्या बोलूं, sacrilege against like the way Indian houses are built is responsible for our neuroses, perhaps. And एक और चीज के ऊपर, this space that I am in right now has the same problem. Is it's built like a colonial compound. If you've ever, do you know about Lutyens Delhi के अंदर किस तरह से घर बने हुए हैं?
नहीं.
Connaught Place के पास. Have you been to houses near Connaught Place?
Yeah. I haven't been inside. I know the general area.
Right. So the idea is something like this. There is a house and then there is a massive grass garden compound, okay, and it's enclosed by 4 walls. Inside the house is your typical room, living room, all of that. Just basically, just say if you look at it from top down, it's like a master bedroom, a living room, a bathroom, a kitchen, like this. You know, like, again, there's no central point. Now, what is happening here up in the north is that model of a Lutyens Delhi bungalow is being extrapolated everywhere else. So one of my friends came here and he's like, you know, this place feels amazing, but there is no central object here. There is no place to gather around here. And that's exactly what I feel is our collectivism is best channeled when we can go in our private sanctums, solitude mein reh sakte hain, and then come together in a common space. When that is lacking, that's when people start eating, you know, bed pe baith ke khana kha rahe hain, akele alag time pe kha rahe hain. The inner this whole courtyard is almost like tumhe aana hi padega wahan pe, no matter how bad things are. I don't know. Maybe that's a crazy tangent in my head.
Bro, what you're saying is bang fucking on. Okay. Let me add on to this. In some ways, modern Indian houses are built after Western ideas, Western ideals of what a good house is, beautiful house. We want a lawn, we want, you know, we have these bedrooms, this kind of thing. And a lot of Indian architects sort of are, I mean, I won't put the blame, but it is very Western influenced.
Correct.
But bro, if you look at Western houses, the most beautiful room in that house is the bedroom. When you look at Indian houses, it's the what do you call, living room.
Or we say drawing room. घर का drawing room सबसे अच्छा होता है.
Drawing room. Drawing room सबसे अच्छा होता है. But US में, Europe में, bedroom सबसे अच्छा होता है. Right? So that's the collectivist and individualist thing playing out at a physical manifestation. So a collectivist society building their living spaces, the thing that influences you the most after something that doesn't fit with your, you know, your context, your culture. Bang on, bro. That is exactly what it is.
Wow. So could we then solve the modern problem of nuclear families and like people being apart and हमारा community से जो lack होना by simply fixing our architecture? I think there's something there.
I would say, definitely, bro. And I would say, you know, nuclear families, whether they're here to stay, I'm not saying it'll go back to joint families. However, let's build our spaces such that we incorporate the current world as well. The fact is, most work moving forward will be remote, at least for the kind of work we do.
Right. Agreed.
Online work, internet work.
Agreed.
However, bro, it gets boring to work out of just your bedroom.
Sure. There is something called Zoom fatigue.
What's the alternative? Yes, Zoom fatigue. But what's the alternative? I'm not going to go to Starbucks with my entire setup, bro. I can go there max with a laptop. But that's not a good replacement. Maybe I can go to my friend's place, but then his place is also not optimized for this thing, and I'm missing my setup, whatever. So I feel like this idea that you have the central object and you build public spaces and then private space, it's almost like build it for, even if it's not your joint family, all of these people together, but these people can be your friends. They are working out of your house for 3 days a week.
That's crazy. Why 3 days a week? Why that arbitrary number?
Just an example. Just an example. right? Not that कि उन्होंने घर पे अब तुम्हारा घर permanent office बना लिया है, but the vibes of your house are so good that it makes your creativity flow. And of course, being with friends, you're doing this together, you feel that vibe. Right? So even if you don't have a joint family where there's 3 generations, you could have you, your family, you have your friends, and now you have this common space. And it's not another thing, actually, another tangent is, you remember as kids, we would go to each other's houses. It sort of feels like that's reduced now. I don't know, maybe it's just me.
100%. No, you were spot on.
Like my parents used to tell me stories कि हाँ हम आंटी के घर चले जाते थे, उनके आम के बगीचे थे, वहां पे ये कर लेते थे, ऐसी कोई भी पहुंचा था घर पे, चाय बना के बैठते बात करते.
Yeah, can I quickly add an insight because I'm going to lose it otherwise.
Yeah.
So what has happened now is the doorbell culture is lost. Number one, ठीक है. Friends, unless they're not criminals, या अगर हैं भी तो भी, are all relegated to the road and to public places. Coming to your friend's house is less and less, and interaction with parents is almost no. मैंने जितना देखा है ना कि मतलब it's minimized या कोशिश करते हैं कि घर वालों से नाम कैसे भी हो. Yeah, it's just that we meet in public places more, in cars more, and when we get someone to our house, it is almost as if मैं और वो ड्राइंग रूम में बैठेंगे और उस जगह को शेयर करेंगे जहां मेरे घर वाले भी शेयर करते हैं. That's sort of not appropriate. I'd rather have my friend to my private bedroom. And when a friend comes over to your house, you really know आज एक दोस्त आया हुआ है because it's so rare. Anyway.
Yeah. 100%, bro. 100%. So the houses you and I are going to build for ourselves are going to be so different. It's going to be so different. They're going to be built for meeting rather than built for, whatever they're built for now.
Yeah, एक बात बताओ मेरे को. What is like the ideal space for you to become creative? मतलब, what my definition of art is, I like wide windows, lots of natural light. I want nature to percolate inside my house whatever way possible. ठीक है? Then I want a big space. I also want a few objects, art वगैरह roughly. But then, what is the optimum, at least अगर हम ऐसे generalize करना or we want to make a product out of it, like an optimum creative workspace / home space that works for everyone? What do you think that would look like? What elements would you add? What would you take out? Some Indian houses feel very sleepy. It's almost like you have to go to a Starbucks to really work. You know what I mean?
True.
They only represent.
I mean, one thing I've actually observed. This is in Copenhagen here. Most windows don't have curtains.
Oh.
Like even on the ground floor, you can look into someone's house. You can see what they have in their living room. You can see what they're doing right now. You can see what's on their TV. Right? As a result of that, and also windows are bigger. They are bigger, a lot of natural light coming in. And at some level, it's because of this Scandinavian area being a high trust society. Right? There is no envy because everybody is, the minimum of, let's say socioeconomic is here. There's no envy if you look into someone's house. There's no this thing of, agar wo dekh lenge to kya ho jayega. So, bro, like that blows me away. It blew me away when I could first see that. I felt like, I actually felt the same thing when I first came across Airbnb. And I could see people's living rooms. I felt so weird. I was going through photos of these really nice Airbnb houses and I'm like, wow. And I was like, why do I feel this way? It's because I think somehow maybe India is low trust society, but you normally keep everything hidden. Like my experience driving through Gurgaon, Faridabad, Noida, those brilliant houses, huge. They look like fortresses.
They do.
Not a peek into what is happening inside. Right?
Absolutely.
So what does that mean to you? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So very interesting tangent. On that note, there is this series on Netflix called World's Most Beautiful Homes. ऐसे कुछ है, Extraordinary Homes है. ठीक है, उसमें 2 लोग जाते हैं. तो उसमें एक इंडियन घर आता है And the house is built on a hill, and it's built on the same idea of the duplex wali baat kari thi na, where the family can sort of gather. It's a Mumbai businessman's house.
Yeah.
But the first word they used to describe it is it's a huge concrete block that hides away pretty much all the activities that are happening on the inside. And hence they use the word fortress. Or मैं convinced हूँ fortress है because you see all the foot soldiers outside, all the drivers, all the malis, depending on where you live, right? There are either representatives, तुम्हारी गाड़ियां, your possessions and your workers, your employees are out there sort of on display. ठीक है? Or this is pervasive in Indian houses where there are ramps. So if you have a big ramp, you can sort of park your cars there. ठीक है? And I know this because this is exactly how my house is built. What you don't see ever, and which is why I wonder कि हिंदुस्तानी लोगों को, अमीर लोगों को sedentary lifestyle क्यों होता है, is the owner of the house coming out for sunlight or being outside their gate. You only see the employees, you only see their cars, you only see these big facades, you never see them outside.
Yeah. True.
ये एक बड़ी ऐसी strange सी बात है. You don't know exactly where. When I propound this idea of like trying to कि मम्मा हम एक काम करते हैं, हम जब जिंदगी में आप लोग भी घर बनाओगे आगे, मैं तो मेरे को पता है कैसे बनाऊंगा. So let's build it in this sort of like, I show them nowness.com and then I go through different houses and there are some beautiful creatives of wonderful houses. But I know now why it will not work because of this low trust factor. एक और example देता हूँ इसी के अंदर. There is this beautiful housing, new flat complex that is built in Faridabad only, in the place called Greater Faridabad, which is slowly being gentrified. पहले वहाँ पे गांव वगैरह थे. Side note, there are a lot of Gujar chowks there, Jat chowks there. Every community is geotagging their own place, which is hilarious. पर वहाँ पे, if you buy the ground floor flat, तुम्हें swimming pool मिलता है. No one swims in their pools. And अगर लोग swimming करते हैं, they do it fully clothed. I kid you not, ये सच्ची बात है. So the men also टी-शर्ट और निक्कर के अंदर कूद जाएंगे अपने ही घर के पूल के अंदर. क्यों? क्योंकि साइड वाले देख लेंगे. So that low trust, you give these people इतनी luxury कि तुम्हारा अपना पूल है.
Bro.
हाँ,
it's crazy. That's quite crazy, bro. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I think what we were talking about is what would the features be, bro? I need open windows. Right? I need edge to edge glass fucking windows, whether they're tinted or not. I don't know this thing, but natural light very important to me. Although I don't have too much of it in this room. And I need super high ceilings, as high as they can be.
Right.
Like these two are, I would say, the core features.
You always go for neon, no? 10K का भी ऐसा ही है in the prototype you showed me.
I mean, it's more of a, it's almost like the fact that I'm spending most of my life online. It just feels more native to the internet. These kind of lights.
That's crazy.
I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, normally लोग क्या करते हैं?
But I love natural light. Yeah.
Because people generally ऐसा होता है, they bring their physical world to the internet. Now it's very strange that the internet is now coming back to the physical world. Because I'm spending so much time on the internet, let me bring back this indecipherable thing to the physical world that does not make sense unless you're on the internet, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Bro, insane shit. I didn't expect us to like
insane, bro.
Fucking have so much fun doing this. I will. Yeah, I have this advice for all podcasters is to invest in mind-altering substances in general in life, which is a good investment, which pays off heavily. So, ठीक है. Do you want to maybe close off on this note? Does that seem reasonable to you?
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, I'm open to talk more. Yeah.
तो फिर बात कर लेते थोड़ी और. I just wanted to ask.
अभी flow में है.
If you have a time constraint. ठीक है. Crazy. This whole bent of architecture is now making so much sense. The studio that I'm in is a massive studio. But इसके अंदर the issue is just that it's good, it's massive, but again there isn't this sense of, you know what it feels like to me? It feels like made up beauty. There is natural beauty जो हमें पता है, things that look beautiful in nature, symmetrical and all that jazz. And then there is pura makeup kar rakha hai, अच्छी तरह से, you've dressed up a normal person to look more attractive than they are. That is what I feel about Indian houses. I don't know.
I don't know, bro. It's I mean, I like speaking about it from a design perspective. Mostly because I think physical space is one of those things which has the most influence on you, whether you realize it or not. Right? In the same way as like I'll give you an example. Like, since we're talking real estate, in some ways, your wallpaper, bro, has such a big influence on you, more than people realize. Right? Because your wallpaper, it's almost like the physical world, your room is where you spend time. But for the digital world, your wallpaper is how you enter this world.
That's right? Crazy. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm so interested in these kind of things because I don't understand them, and I don't think I'll ever understand them fully. But I'm just like, I'm trying to find out what are my influences. What are these things that are so deeply influencing me that have been for the most of my life mostly invisible? Because मुझे ये भी लगता है कि somehow with like me growing up, I didn't have that much space to experiment and find my own groove that works for me.
What do you mean by that?
So, like, let's say in terms of lifestyle design, right? Never a thing. It's like you have to come back from school and you go to tuitions or you do this and do that. So correct. A lifestyle has been designed for you. Who has designed that lifestyle? Maybe it's your parents, but it's a product of the time they lived in.
Sure.
So now that you start pulling those threads apart, you're like, okay, I don't need to do it this way. Or you're like, okay, I don't need to do it. Then the structure starts falling and you're like, wait, like what's holding this up? So I feel like that kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but for me, design is it's a visceral thing, because it's almost like I can feel it with my body sometimes, right? But I don't know why.
Bro, that's insane.
It's very invisible.
Yeah. No, you're right. There is something about these things you see every single day that start to influence your subconscious. For example, there's a dangerous Shatir Kutta mask on the right looking at me all the time. There is this barren wall. I distinctly remember when this wall was full of posters, the psychological impact it became too much for me. I could not work in this room looking at this wall. It was too dense, too many competing influences. And I wonder, because I remember when we first did our podcast during this lockdown, जब हमने English वाले channel पे बात करी थी, that you had this beautiful studio and you had a couple of posters, and I was intrigued by them. What I wanted to get at back then, I'll try again this time, is जब तुम वो influences choose करते हो, what artwork will I look at every single day? Where will I sit every single day? जो हमने orientation की बात करी थी, what goes into your mind? And I know because you had Bart Simpson on there, you had a bunch of like spacey things as well. The abstraction of those things, how those things are not, it isn't obvious कि वो चीजें क्या represent करती हैं. Going in there with that ambiguity, what goes on in your mind?
Yeah. I mean, one takeaway for anybody who's watching is, I will tell you this: customize the living shit out of your space. You might think your parents will mind it, or you're like, bro, the hostel wall, I can't really put anything, or what will my parents say if they see X on my wall? Bro, customize the living shit out of your space. It's your space, right? And that how you reclaim your relationship with art.
For sure.
Right? Literally, if you want art, forget buying a print. You're never going to step into a gallery, right? You're probably not going to go buy Indian artwork either, because it doesn't connect with you in the same way. It doesn't click.
Yeah.
But bro, get a fucking printer at home, print stuff out. Anything that looks good to you.
Instead of
yeah, bro, like print stuff out. Like that's your relationship with art. Like if you look at something and it catches your attention, that's a question. That's an open question. Why is this catching my attention? And it won't be revealed to you all at once. So print out, bro. Print out your art. Forget about going to galleries and shit. Print a lot. Like, bro, I print stuff out. I stick stuff up. This room I haven't yet. But yeah.
It makes all the difference. My solace for very hard and painful days is the comfort of my own room, जहाँ पे हर एक चीज मैंने personally curate करी है. लोग उसकी value नहीं समझते. Especially, I think of this as people who think कि मैं uncreative हूँ, मैं कैसे करूँगा? You have beautifully said what Jordan Peterson has been trying to say is that you stumble towards art and beauty. The first iteration is horrible. Bro, if you really go back to the time when you were a college student or even like a school student, the shit that he posted on the wall was trying to be something. वो एक generic भी होगा. Maybe like a trope about beer, Bangalore, you know, whatever cool
Eminem.
show, Eminem, whatever cool show or artist that everyone else was watching, वो था. But it's arrived at some place, right? It's become this sort of aesthetic that is constantly developing. और उससे भी फिर relation बदलता रहता है. The fact that most people start out as very obviously post every pop culture reference on the wall to something very minimal. क्योंकि मैंने ये देखा है, the better people get at beauty, the less objects they have. Then they carefully choose मेरे को 5 या 6 चीजें रखनी है, and they must be ambiguous enough so that, like you said, वो मेरा relationship बदलता रहे उसके साथ. It's not a static thing. They go from block letter quotes to mysterious images, something like that.
Yeah. I feel the same way about tattoos, which is
really, you have tattoos?
I have a lot of tattoos. I have 5.
Really?
5 or 6. Yeah. I feel the same about tattoos, which is people who don't have them, they're like, dude, one, you're going to have it for the rest of your life. Number 2, you're going through that period of pain where it's done on you.
Sure.
It better mean something really, really strong to you. Right? Why the fuck would you go through it otherwise?
Yeah, that's all. मेरे सारे resistance pop up हो रहे हैं जैसे तुम बोल रहे हो, because I'm exactly like that.
Yeah, but bro, literally on my fucking, maybe I can show you this now, but on my thigh, I've got a tattoo of this fucking snake with a knife going through it, and there's flames coming out, done by some dude in Berlin. On my fucking whatever calf, there's this tiger, but instead of the tiger skin, he's got Gucci skin, and he's wearing sunglasses. What? Bro, it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit. But the point is, when I first saw that, or first saw the concept, or spoke to the artist, I felt something, bro. I felt something, and I was like, wow, that's an interesting feeling. And now that I have it on me, in my everyday life, I don't consider myself as a person with tattoos. I forget that I have tattoos. Because I don't have any visible ones. They're all this thing. But my relationship with that changes so much. And it's defined over time. The meaning is made, right? It's bottom up rather than top down.
I agree. ये tattoos वाला perspective काफी different है. Maybe it's the last straw for me. जो break हो जाएगा मैं बोलूँगा मैं भी tattoo करा सकता हूँ. Because I feel like कि मेरा शरीर पवित्र है. मैं उसके ऊपर ऐसी चीज को क्यों लिख दूँ जिसको मैं बोलूँगा अरे क्या लिख दिया. Because I've also seen examples. मेरे दोस्तों ने कुछ टैटू कराया किसी लड़की के नाम पे, उसने छोड़ दिया उसको, फिर उसको वो रीमॉडल करा था जाके कि यू नो दिस लेटर ऑफ दिस वुमन्स फर्स्ट नेम इज नाउ, अब मैं इसको बर्ड बनवा लूंगा. चूतिए, मतलब क्या मिला तेरे को?
You want it to be vague. You want your tattoos to be vague than specific.
Yeah.
Right? So that over time you can change the meaning. It's almost like when somebody asks you what it is, you can A/B test new stories with them.
Yeah,
have you watched story A and see if it connects.
That's crazy. हाँ, तो मतलब तुम ये भी तो कर सकते हो. When someone asks you like the origin story for tattoos, you can always tell a new one, and then over time सबसे ज़्यादा क्या fit होती है. So for example, you say, you know, I got this tiger tattoo because I was, वो कौन सा वाला गेम होता है जिसके अंदर तुम ऐसे नाइफ हाथ के बीच में करते हो, you know, that whole dangerous game. I was doing that drunk game with a Vietnamese war veteran and I lost, and उसके चक्कर में ये हुआ. So like you see how that story flies, and you do this not with your regular friends. You do this when you're traveling, right? And maybe then those tattoos like allow you to just embody a different character. Have you ever done that? Have you played like a different person when you're traveling?
No, bro, I have not. It does sound fun though, and I'll say this: it's like what you're essentially doing when you do that. You are putting in the reps of your storytelling abilities.
Sure, absolutely.
You're putting in the reps. So. And that's almost like dude, the phrase that I love the most is seeing people's faces light up. Right? There's certain things you will say that you don't know what happened as it went through their mind. But there was a click there. That is super interesting. I'm like, what? Why did that happen?
Yeah.
Right? What about that story, and what about them? You know, the context that they had. What was it that made that click happen?
You share a lot of similarities with comedians and performers than you would probably admit. Because ये जो feeling है ना, this feeling of getting people to incite a reaction. For your case, it's like a specific reaction है कि चेहरा light up हो जाए, कि aha moment आ जाए, insight आ जाए. This is something that comedians and performers do. And you know, I tried this where मैंने English podcast के ऊपर I got all these big names and try to like dissect their creative process. वो करने की कोशिश करी. But then I also got friends with performers. नंबर 1 रिस्पॉन्स यही आया कि जिन भी लोगों ने स्कूल के अंदर स्टेज में परफॉर्म कर रहा था, इनवेरिएबली इफ दे फाउंड एन इंटरनेट करियर, they just wanted that. They just wanted
That's
that.
so funny. Yeah.
Why you laughing? क्या कुछ याद आ गया इससे?
That's perfect, bro. That's perfect because it's almost like that feeling of putting on a thing for your school assembly. You don't get it later in life somehow, right?
You don't.
This is such a common thing when you grow up. So I love that example. Yeah.
हाँ, और मैं मतलब the running idea I have about around this is कि देखो, when you do stand-up comedy in this world, ठीक है, bro, beyond the time constraint, there are no constraints. और वो that alone is like, oh my god, so I can say anything. 10,000 choices के अंदर से एक चीज पिक करनी है. हम जो जैक बुचर की बात करते हैं, you know how he always is like about simplicity and constraint, all that. मेरे को पहले समझ नहीं आता था वो. पहले I was very interested in trying everything out. Lately, I've begun to understand the power of constraint. I've tried to reflect it in my poetry, in the words that I put out, और मैं समझ रहा हूँ क्या होता है. Is that somehow you apprentice yourself to a form before you can start breaking it up completely. तो उस सेंस के अंदर whatever these oratory capabilities, these abilities to broadcast yourself to a school assembly, ये सब जो चीजें थी ना जहां पे तुम्हारे पास स्क्रिप्ट है, you cannot go like, oh by the way students, today I will dance for you. No. आज का वेदर ऐसा है, ये है, वो है. You know, that constraint almost is the building block, the necessary Juilliard School of Music की जो performance classes होती हैं, you know, like the whole coffee mode for the eventual beer mode of jamming, of stand-up comedy, of doing a podcast, all of that. These are all, ये जो चीजें थी, they're all starting points for that. I haven't been able to find like a sample size that proves this, because I also know बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं that performed on stage and never did anything else. But more or less personally experiment करते हुए मैंने तो यही पाया.
Yeah. I mean, bro, my story is actually probably an edge case there, because I never performed when I was at school. Never.
But did you have the intention to?
At all. I didn't have a creative outlet, bro. Which is, I was a very shy, introverted kid. So I could never speak, right? In a sense that I don't know. I felt, looking back now, it feels like as a kid, I couldn't really connect with people. I don't know why, right? In a sense that with my close friends, it was really good, but I couldn't connect with like a stranger. But then that changed for me. You know, I figured out whatever level of social anxiety was there, right? But then I think school I never performed because there was no creative outlet. And then for me, that changed sort of in college. And that was sort of my entryway into design. But then I feel like once I got satisfied with design, I was like, okay, what else? Like, this is fun. What else can I do? Yeah.
तो ये तो मैच क्वालिटी वाली दिक्कत है ना, कि जो जिस लेवल का चैलेंज स्कूल में प्रेजेंट करा गया, इट वाज नेवर लाइक द एप्रोप्रिएट लेवल फॉर यू, व्हिच हैपेंस ऑल द टाइम, नो? मतलब अगर मैं अपना एग्जांपल लूं, तो आई वाज दिस वन ऑफ दोस किड्स हु अंडरस्टूड कि स्कूल के कौन से गेम्स हैं, मेरे को वो खेलने आते थे. बट दैट डिडंट मीन आई कुड प्ले ऑल द गेम्स वेरी वेल. आई कुडंट प्ले एनी स्पोर्ट्स गेम्स, लिटरली आई वाज सो बैड एट स्पोर्ट्स, राइट? तो वो पूरा वो हट गया. बट आई फिगर्ड कि एकेडमिक्स का ये गेम है, स्मॉल टॉक का ये गेम है, स्कूल में स्टेज पे आने का ये गेम है, तो ये गेम्स खेल लेता हूँ. माय मॉम पुट मी थ्रू अ लॉट ऑफ कॉम्पिटिशंस एज अ किड, तो मे बी दैट गॉट मी टू बी वेरी पैन जनरलिस्ट थ्रू द वो. पर I really think कि उसके अंदर भी I felt like an obedient kid, if I'm being very very honest here, being, you know, absolutely honest. The words used for me were obedient. तो मुझे लगता था कि मैं इन सुपीरियर्स को आंसर कर रहा हूँ, इनके गेम्स के अंदर मैं जीत रहा हूँ. अब जाके तो कोई ऐसे गेम्स आए हैं जो मैं अपने हिसाब से खेल रहा हूँ.
Yeah, but my question is, did you realize back then that all of these were like games, or is it now in retrospect?
only in retrospect. I wish I was that precocious as a kid, but that's not the case.
I didn't either. Obviously, I mean, I took school way too seriously. I'll just say that. I did not have fun in school.
So why seriously? But what was the manifestation of that, of taking it seriously?
I didn't realize, for example, bro, you and I, we both love Bully, the game.
Oh yes,
right?
Oh yes.
I love it. Okay, amazing. But for me, that's the opposite of what my school life was like.
That is why it's such a brilliant.
That's why I love it. That's why I love it. Because to me, I didn't realize it's just this playground where you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Bro.
To me, it was, you're supposed to do it a certain way and the other ways are bad. Other ways of doing it are bad. Right?
Yeah, bro, insane.
I did not have fun in school, bro.
Bro, imagine if school kids are made to play bully and to realize कि तुम school को भी ऐसे ही खेल सकते हो. Yeah, this whole like I'm the underdog now and now I have to rise up. That whole archetype is so beautiful. And the cliques, it allows you to see cliques. The sad thing is you only see it as an adult when it's too late. अरे ये jocks थे, ये nerds थे, ये ऐसा. But talking about I had no idea you were such a Bully fan. There are so many. मैं इतने सारे tangents में I'm actually confused where to go from here.
Yeah.
It's like So what is it about? Something about the protagonist Jimmy Hopkins, or is it about the nature of the game? कि ये एक sandbox style game है school का that got you interested.
I think what I love most about it is nobody tells Jimmy what to do.
I mean, they try to influence him, sure.
They try to influence him, but it's almost like, I mean, also it's the fact that the game is made in such a way that you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Right? You can stand there and then you'll pass out at 2 a.m. or whatever. When
जो कितनी अजीब सी बात है ना कि वो उठता है तो उसके जूते गायब होते हैं, socks में है वो.
Yeah. So, मतलब that, it's almost like he doesn't have to, there is no fixed path, right? When I first played the game, literally the first 2 nights or whatever in the game, I went to the class and I realized, bro, I don't have to go to the class. Right?
Right. Like, you can be thrown.
Yeah, you can be thrown. And then I also felt, as a follow-up, I was like, bro, ठीक है, 1-2 दिन class नहीं गया, अब जाना पड़ेगा. And I was like, wait, who said that? I can literally never go if I want to. And then I was just like, bro.
Bro, So what is also interesting is, have you seen कि school के अंदर, depending on the deviation from rules you've done, optimum level of guilt आता है. कि class नहीं गए तो इतना guilt आया, किसी को मार दिया तो इतना आया, teacher को मार दिया तो इतना आया, right? How that is played in the game, and it's actually a true reflection of reality. Is if you know school में किसी को मारा है, तो you are like, you're on the radar for the authorities to catch you, quite literally in school, real school as well.
Yeah.
Then you beat up a little kid, holy shit, तुमने anarchy कर दी, क्या कर दिया? Right? So that's like instant. So that punishment system is so beautiful because it's exactly what happens in school.
For sure, bro. For sure.
Even when you're on a mission, as you are, imagine karo, you're like a kid in Bangalore and going to school, and your typical, let's say, mission is to go to class. There are other star missions as well. जैसे game में होते हैं ना कि वहाँ एक चीज करनी है, nerd से कुछ जाके बात करनी है, जो भी कुछ है.
Yeah.
But you just go do your class thing and you don't actually do any missions and you get there, right? But then the game is so boring. It's all very procedural.
Yeah. For sure, bro. Bro, it's like, it's a Satori moment type of thing for me, because it's almost like when I look at myself going to school, I didn't realize I could choose my missions. And that sounds so absurd. It's like playing GTA, but watching someone play GTA instead of actually playing it.
But bro, यार बुरा लगता है ना ऐसे कि यार काश. I was talking literally कल जब Danger Show आया था तो मैं ये और एक और लड़का सिद्धार्थ हम बैठ के ये बात कर रहे थे कि one thing that every school student has felt is, I wish I could dominate this class with the knowledge I have now. मैं 9th में हूँ, काश अगर 6th में ऐसा होता ना with this Like the price of wisdom is
yeah.
time passing and not being able to recreate it. It's such a painful moment for kids to realize that.
It is. Yeah. It is for sure.
Yeah, bro. It's now I'm that in whole bully mode. But here's the thing: in bully, there are no consequences to fucking up beyond like restarting and all that.
True.
The game has only so many rules and so many random occurrences. In real life, things that are completely mental will occupy your mind space and cause you to, go off script.
Yeah.
Kuch deviation.
Yeah.
But a game does not show that mental event. Only
True.
physical events allow you to either stay on course or deviate from course or chart your path.
True.
I want to see if
that's true.
games allow for mental events to then influence the physical reality of the game. I don't know.
That's true. In some ways, Jimmy feels a little one-dimensional in some places.
Exactly.
Because he doesn't realize that this status game of becoming the leader of this, and now you have to be responsible for them or whatever. He doesn't realize that that's a futile game.
उसने double Ravikant नहीं पढ़ा
ना. He doesn't realize that, bro, and he just keeps doing it. Like he keeps trying to rise up rather than I don't know. It's just that one self-awareness moment is sort of missing. But
उसकी self-awareness आती है ना at very late in the end, painfully. If you've seen the evolution of Kratos, if you've played any of the God of War games, तो सबसे बड़ा जो criticism यही था God of War 1 से लेके 3 तक is that this guy is just a warrior. There is no personality to this guy. ये सिर्फ मारता है, ये सिर्फ violence करता है. Break to God of War 4 and you have an old, hardened Kratos with the sun, and you see the first throes of emotion in him. और तुम्हें लगता है wow, अब ये इंसान बन गया, right? So yeah, we've often not had the privilege of having 2 or 3 dimensional characters in games. Even if you look at the GTA series, the only place where like moral consequences and like morality comes into play is from GTA 4. उससे पहले मतलब थोड़ा बहुत CJ from San Andreas is like another exception. Tommy Vercetti, that Claude guy from GTA 3, those guys are just like, nahin, bas yehi kaam karna hai. 20 years out of prison, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to start crime right away. Let's go, Ken Rosenberg. So that whole thing.
Yeah. But I mean, that way, I loved that GTA 4 had Michael in it.
GTA 5 had Michael.
GTA 5, yeah. Because usually it always starts with the underdog. With Michael, you start as you're already at the top, and he doesn't give a fuck, bro. He's just chilling. Like, that was amazing.
Yeah, a retiree bank robber who's bored with his life. Matlab, yahan pe to wo wali baat hai na. So he's the guy actually who is all about what midlife crisis looks like. I've achieved all this success by hook or crook.
Yeah.
Because he says in therapy, I had those options, at least I took them. Because he's अपने बच्चों भी बुराई कर रहा होता है, ये कैसे, privileged हैं, ये सब है. But it's then interesting to see a man wanting to once again, wrestle with violence and adventure because he's missing that in his life. So Franklin is starting out. Michael is wanting to get back in the waters, and just Trevor is this guy who's too away from the game. बहुत crazy. We can, go into a
Trevor's broken the simulation, bro. He's just like he's living in his own world.
Bro, it's insane to run a meth business while you're on speed and simultaneously have all these emotions जो feel करता है. मतलब, he's human filth, but there are these incredibly strange and therapeutic moments जहाँ तुम्हें उसके लिए प्यार feel होता है. He's almost like a lily, like a flower in so many ways, and absolutely wretched in others.
Yeah. He's very authentic. When you see it, it's almost like I think the reason he elicits that emotion is also he is doing his thing, bro. That's it. He's just doing his thing. He is the 100% authentic version of himself, and that's it. And seeing that, I don't know, it's such a shock. I mean, I'm not saying he of course kills people. Bro, it's that kind of character. I love it. Like, to me, I don't know. I felt like GTA 5 storytelling wise,
insane.
Absolutely loved it.
Insane. I felt like जो Franklin wala angle tha, it was a bit boring for me because I'd already seen CJ sort of do it. But I also understood कि वो ambitious entrepreneur था, थोड़ा निकलना चाह रहा था. With Trevor, I agree. he just wasn't socialized, and he was fine with that. See, even Michael said कि I want a house in the hills. He जो बोलते हैं ना कि ऐसी रेड पिल की दुनिया में तुमने सोसाइटी का बेट ले लिया है ना, तुमने कन्वेंशनल जॉब ले ली, ये सब कर लिया. तो in a way, both him and Franklin represent that. Franklin is the hood. Michael is the nice, Vinewood Hills, Hollywood Hills life. मेरे को उसकी आदत हो गई है. The other thing that GTA 5 does so well is everything is a parody of real life America brilliantly. If you've ever been, they have radio ads where they say sign on for proposition 15, legalize cocaine. क्योंकि वहां पे कुछ ना कुछ legalization के चलते रहते हैं ऐसे, तो bill 17 या ऐसे आते रहते हैं. It's just so funny कि वो they're able to create this whole parody वाला universe.
Yeah.
ठीक है, bro. It's been fantastic.
Awesome, bro.
Yeah, I've been running out of juices.
Killer.
Yeah, bro. No, it's been super fun, man. Like, this is probably the most fun I've had on a podcast in a while.
Awesome, bro.
Yeah,
Me
thank
too,
you for being.
By the way,
yeah, thank you for being on here, and just going on this crazy journey with me. It'll only make sense once I, watch the podcast to even see what we talked about. But I'm very happy about the things we touched. I want to compliment on you on something, which is I appreciate how well you're able to go into fields you might have no idea about. I like how speculative you are, because that causes great conversation. So yeah, that's a very refreshing.
A lot of people hate that because they're like, I mean, some of my closest friends, they've gotten used to it now, but they're like, bro, why the fuck do you talk about? You have no clue what's going on, right? And I'm just like, bro, that's okay. Like, I'm just telling you what my understanding of things are. But yeah.
No, despite the fact that you have a very unconventional box that you live in, the box that you represent, which is 10K designers, there are so many ways in which you completely break that box when you do things like this, when you do stuff like Abnooks, which is a delight. और मेरे को मजे आते हैं फिर ऐसे host करने में. The fact that you even agreed to do like a Hindi conversation is again a testament to that. You're willing to break whatever convention there is in your world, because fundamentally you also belong to a tribe, whatever the tribe is. Maybe that tribe is, Bangalore Tech Pros. I don't know. I belong to a weird tribe as well, right? And to see you bridge those gaps is very refreshing.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Yeah. That's, I think the world is super boring out, right? And I think we need more people, more characters out there playing out their authentic version of what they think the world is.
For sure.
So yeah, happy to be here, bro. I mean, love being on your podcast. And one thing I also love is the fact that we now have a background, in the sense that our conversations now have context because we've spoken so many times. So we're layering on top of previous ones.
Right.
So love that, bro. Love going on the tangents here.
Yeah, likewise.
And I think what you are also doing, one thing that I'll say is you're able to synthesize on the go.
What do you mean?
Right? We might, like, literally minute to minute, we might be talking about totally different things, but you're able to connect them. So you're able to keep that train going in a certain direction. So yeah, that's great.
I didn't realize that. Thank you. I think it's because of years of doing small talk, because I realized बहुत early on, this whole intellectual business is not going to work. It's not going to work alone. There is, which is why I don't understand when people say, I love only deep talks. Are you stupid? Literally, the most common conversation in the world is, what is the weather? How is the weather? So you have to build on that convention. You cannot just be like, hey, let's talk about Aristotle's, what Nicomachean ethics. You can't do that.
Yeah.
That's not a part of like the ebb and flow of conversation. But what I'm saying is that only is possible. There's a tali do haath se bajti hai. Because then the host has to do most of the legwork. With you, it's not the case. With you, it's like we can discuss so many ideas in abstraction, and they make sense in our mind's eye. And I feel like generally we're on the same page. And then, ye Prakhar uses good analogy, like, and improv also. With good groups, good friends, it's always like, it's never no but. It's always yes and. So I feel that a lot.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. For sure.
Yeah.
Cool, bro. Awesome.
Yeah, take care. I'm also going to tune out a bit, enjoy the rest of this mind state.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
Chalo, take care. Baki, I'm usually repping 10K designers t-shirts in my videos whenever I have it.
Awesome.
Great.
Bro.
It's great.
Awesome.
It's a brilliant thing, and I'm very excited ki wo kaisa hota.
I'll send you more merch, bro. I'll send you more merch.
Fantastic. The bro moment is, I'm assuming, is like the next one.
Yeah.
Fantastic, bro. Fantastic. Chalo, take care.